I'm going to say on Pedro's behalf, Pancho Pedro. What did one of y'all say? Was it Pickpocket Pedro? One of y'all had said something about Pedro. God damn, and it was so funny down there in the comments. I was like, yeah, that's it. What was it? Pandering Pedro. People at Motown knew that Pedro and I were getting married in Vegas. I still didn't know what the label was up to. It seemed a strange coincidence that Motown chose this time to send out Abner to work on me about the contract. Abner had the agreement stating that I owned 50% of the Supreme's name ready for me to sign. The same day that Pedro and I got our marriage license, David Williams gave me the bad news. He heard from the trademark office that Motown owned the name. It was odd that it had taken him months to find that out. I was beginning to lose my grasp of all the legal intricacies. I didn't know, though, that I needed the name. Since getting 50% was better than getting nothing, I signed against Pedro's advice. He told me that I would regret signing this deal, and he was right. The ink had barely dried on the new 5-year contract when Abner said, "Look, Mary, Motown should be managing the Supremes. Why don't you let us take over?" For nearly 4 years now, I've held it together while Motown's done nothing, I answered. There's no record out, and we are an opening act. Motown's giving me 50% ownership of the name came with so many restrictions that it was essentially worthless, except in one case. If Motown ever sold the rights to the Supreme's name, I would be entitled to half the proceeds. I'm sure Motown thought this fine print restrictions was quite clever, and it was. At that time, I'm sure it never occurred to Barry or anyone else that he would ever sell the name or Motown. However, in 1988, he did. Although I felt something was fishy about all of this, I couldn't figure out what. I had doubts and questions, but I wasn't an attorney. Short of getting a law degree myself, all I could do was listen to and trust my advisors. I tried my best. But besides my suspicions about the deal itself, I had questions about how it all came down. For one thing, Motown had been taking its sweet time with the contracts and hadn't recorded us for months. Suddenly, the day of my wedding, there was a big rush. What had made it so urgent that Motown flew in people from Los Angeles to get me to sign the paper? Why couldn't it have waited a few days? Our honeymoon was spent on the road with the Supremes. From the end of May through June, we toured Hawaii, Hong Kong, Australia, and Japan. The weeks of work and travel took their toll on everyone, but especially on my marriage. I had been pretty much alone since leaving home at 17. Now I had a constant, domineering companion, my husband. The honeymoon was over almost as soon as it began. A lot of problems started because now that Pedro was my husband, he became the boss not only of me, but of the group as well. We were 3 women alone out there, and he took over. The one thing that bothered me was that he spent money as if it were his own, paying for everyone's dinner and buying drinks on Pedro. He was the big shot, at least in his mind. Then he began openly ordering me around. I was so tired of fighting now after losing to Motown that I just went along with this outlandish behavior. Damn, Murray. I feel bad. She's annoying. Can't lie, but I feel bad for her. I feel bad for her because there were times in my own relationship that I felt beaten down. But then I had to regain the energy. I had to find my own strength. I had to put me first. You can't take care of your children, your bills, your dogs, your car, your responsibility, your job, nothing unless you take care of self. I resigned myself to my situation. Whereas before, I promised myself that I would try harder to make everything in my life better. Now I accepted that I was different from the person I had been before. One night in Australia, I was lying in bed when suddenly I felt the sensation that another woman was taking over my body. She was all those things I fought so long not to be: negative, frightened, suspicious. All my courage and confidence disappeared. When I tried to picture myself now, I saw someone very small and cowardly. I felt ashamed. But why? I tried to reason with myself. I promised I would stop being suspicious of people, although many of my problems stemmed from not being suspicious enough before. I wondered if other married women also felt they were being absorbed by their husbands, washed away. For a minute, I thought I should see a psychiatrist. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be seeing a psychiatrist. Man, what's important to me is my mental health. More than anything in this world, my mental health. If I feel like you're trying to sacrifice my mental health for whatever it is you want to do, I'm going to check it. Oh, bitch, you trying to drive me crazy. In Hollywood, nightlife still retained a certain stylish cachet, and Pedro and I went out on the town like other people did. We partied hard, child. That means we did the boogity sugary a lot, because we know we ain't gonna have her in here telling nobody nothing. Remember when we read that Tony Turner book and Tony Turner said that she was partying with Sammy Davis Jr. and she was high off the boogity sugary and she had took her top off? Did you tell Pedro about that? Okay. Now, she ain't going to mention that in this book. She ain't going to mention that, y'all, because, you know, she wants to be a sweet and gentle flower growing wild. That's what she wants us to believe. Okay. But we know she was around there topless, shaking her titties on a table at that Sammy Davis Jr. party. I had grown accustomed to behaving in public so as not to arouse Pedro's jealousy. We frequented private clubs where we saw many friends. Pause, let me take it back. Pedro don't have no reason to put his hands on Murray Wilson, but the fact that he probably knows that you messed around with a lot of married men was disappointing to him. You know, to him, I think it gave him carte blanche to treat you like, in his words, a whore, because you messed around with so many married men. And you was the dummy to sit there and write down every name that you had did the booty to. Girl, oh my God, my list would have been like Tom Jones. Okay. What's his name? And all these men are married. He like, what the fuck? You don't have no respect for yourself? And I ain't saying I ain't never hunched around with a married man. I'm not saying that, man. Okay, I'm not saying that. Or married anything, male or female. You know how I do. But she's sitting there writing down married men. Tom Jones, Dookie Fakir, you know, and every other married man that she done hunched. He probably like, this is a whore. even though he's a beater. Y'all know I'm an antagonizer child. I'd have put all kinds of names on there. Mickey Mouse, Jiminy Cricket, Ronald McDonald, Ronald McDonald's brother. I would have annoyed the fuck out of him. We probably would have fought that night. I'm going to say on Pedro's behalf, Pancho Pedro. What did one of y'all say? Was it Pickpocket Pedro? One of y'all had said something about Pedro. God damn, and it was so funny down there in the comments. I was like, yeah, that's it. What was it? Pandering Pedro. So anyway, okay, let me get back to this book and stop being stupid. We frequented private clubs where we saw many friends. I stopped dancing with men, even such old close friends as Billy Davis. Billy didn't care for women, but that didn't prevent Pedro from acting insanely jealous towards him. Billy Davis? Did she just tell us that Billy Davis was gay? Come on, bitch. That's the hottest tea you done gave us this whole book. Come on, let's Google Billy Davis. Which one is this? No, this bitch didn't just tell us. Let me see. Billy Davis, singer, best known as member of the Fifth Dimension alongside his wife. I know you fucking lying. I know. Marilyn McCoo, you trying to tell me Marilyn McCoo married a gay man? Girl. Hold on, let's go back and read this, girl. I know this bitch ain't just say this. We frequented private clubs where we saw many friends. I stopped dancing with men, even such old close friends as Billy Davis. Billy didn't care for women. That's not my words, that's his bitch words. You see it? Stop the tape if you got to. Stop it. Billy didn't care for women, but that didn't prevent Pedro from acting insanely jealous towards him. Marilyn McCoo's husband. Bitch. The tension of having to monitor my every move was too much. Around this time, I pretty much stopped going out at all. Unless I was on a stage, I was at home. One of the few close friends I had was Teddy Pendergrass. Baby, I know you're not about to tell me what I think you're going to tell me about the Teddy. Oh, my life.